Gear up landing. Can you talk about a gear up landing confidently? Hi, Rachel here at Practice ICAO English, and today we're going to dive into mastering the language needed to talk about a gear up emergency landing. We'll use one of the most famous incidents, the incredible gear up landing of the LOT Airlines Flight 16. This real-world case study will teach you the vocabulary and phraseology to communicate clearly and effectively in the flight deck when faced with non-standard situations. By the end of this lesson, you'll be able to talk about gear-up landings with confidence. What are you going to learn in this lesson? First, you will master the 9 essential ICAO English terms for landing gear failure and emergency procedures. These are the exact words you need to know for your ICAO English test and for real-world communication. Second, we'll practice your listening comprehension skills with a simulated pilot's post-incident report. This is the type of listening task you'll face in your ICAO English test. Third, we'll analyse how pilots use both standard phraseology and plain English in stressful situations. This is a critical ICAO competency. You need to know when and how to transition from phraseology to plain English. Let's begin with the story of Captain Vrona. On November 1st, 2011, LOT Polish Airlines Flight 16 departed from Newark, New Jersey, bound for Warsaw. The aircraft was a Boeing 767-300ER carrying 231 passengers and crew. Shortly after takeoff, the crew discovered a complete loss of hydraulic fluid in the central hydraulic system. This was catastrophic. With the loss of hydraulic pressure, both the primary system and the electric backup system for lowering the landing gear became inoperable. The landing gear was stuck and fully retracted. The aircraft had no way to extend the wheels for landing. Imagine being the captain in this situation. You have 231 passengers and crew on board. Your aircraft is working normally in every other way. The only thing is you have no landing gear. What do? This is where the story of Captain Vrona's expertise and clear communication begins. Captain Vrona and his crew followed the correct procedure. Let me walk you through their steps. Step 1. They attempted the alternate gear extension procedure, a backup system designed for exactly this type of failure. They tried it 3 times. Each time, nothing. The gear remained retracted. Every checklist was completed. There was nothing left to try. Step 2. The captain declared a pan-pan to Warsaw Air Traffic Control. Pan-pan means an urgent situation that requires immediate attention, but it's not yet life-threatening. As the situation became more critical, he upgraded the declaration to Mayday, the highest level of emergency. Step 3. Captain Vrona requested a low pass. This is a procedure where the aircraft flies low over the airport so that ground personnel can visually inspect the landing gear and confirm its position. The tower confirmed the gear was fully retracted. Step 4. The crew spent more than 1 hour in a holding pattern, burning off fuel. During this time, they prepared the airport. Emergency services were on standby, and the runway was prepared with a foam carpet. Before you test your listening skills, I'm going to give you the vocabulary needed for this exercise. These are the exact terms you need to master for your ICAO English test and for real-world communication. The first term, landing gear malfunction. This is the general term for any failure of the system that extends or retracts the landing gear. In the LOT 16 incident, the pilots would say, we have a confirmed landing gear malfunction, unable to lower the main gear. The second term, alternate gear extension. This is the backup system often powered by gravity or a separate hydraulic source that pilots can use to lower the gear when the primary system fails. The pilots would say, attempting the alternate gear extension procedure now. In the LOT 16 case, this procedure failed, which is why the situation became critical. The third term is undercarriage. This is simply another word for the landing gear system. It's commonly used in international aviation, especially in Europe and Asia. You might hear, the tower reports the undercarriage appears to be retracted. The fourth term is gear up landing. This is the final resort, a landing in which the landing gear is not extended. It's also called a belly landing because the aircraft lands on its fuselage. Captain Frohner would say, we are preparing for a gear up landing on runway 33. Now let's move to the vocabulary of crisis management. These terms are essential for describing the emergency situation and the preparations made. The first term is hydraulic failure. This is a loss of fluid pressure in the hydraulic system. Hydraulics power many critical aircraft systems, not just the landing gear, but also the flight controls, brakes, and more. The pilots would report, the issue is traced back to a complete hydraulic failure on System B. In the LOT 16 case, this single failure cascaded into a landing gear emergency. The second term is visual inspection or low pass. When the landing gear won't extend, pilots request a low pass. The aircraft flies low over the airport so ground personnel can visually inspect to see if the landing gear is in position. The pilot would say, requesting a low pass for a visual inspection of the undercarriage. This is critical information because the pilots can't see the gear from the cockpit. If you like this style of training, I'd like to offer you a free ICAO English Masterclass series. Go to icaoenglishonline.com to download the classes and workbooks. Links in the description below. Now, back to the lesson. The third term is foam carpet. We talked about this in my lesson on fire. See the link in the video somewhere up here. Captain Vrona would have said, requesting the runway be prepared with a foam carpet. The fourth term is emergency services on standby. This means fire trucks, ambulances, rescue teams, all positioned and ready for immediate action. The pilot confirms, confirm emergency services on standby and ready for immediate deployment. Now we come to the most critical distinctions in aviation communication. Urgency declarations. This is essential for your ICAO English exam. Pan-pan. This is used for an urgent situation that requires immediate attention, but it is not immediately life-threatening. Examples include engine problems, hydraulic failures, or landing gear malfunctions. Situations where the aircraft is in trouble, but there's time to work through the checklists and prepare. You would say, pan, 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 pan. Warsaw ATC, we have a landing gear malfunction. Mayday. This is the highest level of emergency declaration used when there is imminent danger to the aircraft or persons on board. This is life-threatening. You would say, Mayday, 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 Warsaw ATC, we are preparing for a gear-up landing. And remember, standard phraseology is not always enough. When a non-routine situation is complex or urgent, pilots must use plain English to communicate with ATC. Now it's time to test your listening comprehension. This is a critical skill for your ICAO English test, and we're going to practice it with a real-world scenario. Here's what's going to happen. Step 1. You will hear an excerpt from Captain Vrona's post-incident report to the investigation board. The audio is approximately 2.5 minutes long. The pilot speaks with a non-native English accent. Pilots have different accents, and the ICAO English test tests your ability to understand different accents. Step 2. The audio includes the vocabulary we just looked at. As you listen, pay attention to the words. This will help you understand how they're used in real communication. And step 3. Your task is to fill in the 8 blanks on the next slide. You'll hear the audio once, so listen carefully. Are you ready? Let's get started. Here is the transcript. You can see the 8 numbered blanks. As you listen to the audio, try to identify the vocabulary term that fits in each blank. Write it down or remember it. You'll check your answers on the next slide. The audio will play now, so listen carefully.
At approximately 1300 Zulu, following the initial hydraulic failure, we were unable to secure a positive indication for the landing gear. We attempted the alternate gear extension procedure 3 times with no success. The checklist was completed. I then declared a pan-pan to Warsaw ATC and requested a low pass for a visual check of the undercarriage. The tower confirmed the gear was fully retracted. At this point, I upgraded our status to a full emergency, Mayday. We spent an hour in a holding pattern to burn off fuel. My main priority was a controlled gear-up landing. I requested the runway be cleared and prepared with a foam carpet. Communication remained clear and professional throughout. The final approach was stable, and the landing was executed with minimal damage to the fuselage.
Great. Let's review the answers. Listen and follow the script. And for even better practice, you can read along with the audio.
At approximately 1300 Zulu, following the initial hydraulic failure, we were unable to secure a positive indication for the landing gear. We attempted the alternate gear extension procedure 3 times with no success. The checklist was completed. I then declared a pan-pan to Warsaw ATC and requested a low pass for a visual check of the undercarriage. The tower confirmed the gear was fully retracted. At this point, I upgraded our status to a full emergency, Mayday. We spent an hour in a holding pattern to burn off fuel. My main priority was a controlled gear-up landing. I requested the runway be cleared and prepared with a foam carpet. Communication remained clear and professional throughout. The final approach was stable, and the landing was executed with minimal damage to the fuselage.
How did you get on with that exercise? Let's look at the key takeaways you got from today's lesson. Takeaway 1. Master technical vocabulary. Know the precise terms for system failures, procedures, and emergency responses. Technical accuracy is essential for ICAO Level 4 and above. And the LOT 16 emergency shows us that using exact English matters. Takeaway 2. Know your urgency calls and use standard phraseology whenever possible. Takeaway 3. Use plain English confidently. Be prepared to transition from standard phraseology to clear, concise, plain English when non-routine situations come up. The LOT 16 incident shows us the importance of clear communication under pressure. Captain Vrona and his crew executed the perfect emergency response, and 231 passengers and crew went home to their families because of their professionalism, training, and clear communication. If you want more training like this, you will enjoy my free ICAO English Masterclass series. The 3 classes come with workbooks at no cost, and you'll learn to master 5 of the critical skills needed to pass your ICAO English test. To get the free masterclass series, go to icaoenglishonline.com. The link is in the description below. You'll join our email list where I'll send you free lessons from time to time, and you can unsubscribe at any time. Bye for now, guys, and I'll see you in the next ICAO English lesson.